Welcome to Property Showcase, the podcast that brings you closer to the service providers that can inform your decisions about how you buy, manage and research top investment opportunities. Be informed and become a better investor with Property Showcase.
Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Property Showcase, a product of the Smart Property Investment Show, and as it said in that intro, making sure that you can become a better investor. And today's guest can absolutely help people to do that, and he's, I think, one of the favourite guests that we've ever had on this show. Sam Gordon, welcome back.
Grace, thanks for having me back. It's good to be here.
It's good to see you again. I think you've got the first nice day in Sydney in a very long time.
I'll take it. I brought the sunshine down with me from the Goldie, so it's good. No worries.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
You are the owner and director of Australian Property Scout. Lots been going on in your world lately.
Heaps has been going on. It's a very interesting time out there in the market right now. I feel like I've been saying that for years, right? Like it's always evolving and always changing.
Ending.
Yeah, it's so crazy at the moment. So it's been amazing, and we had the summit which we spoke about with Phil a few weeks back now as well. So it's cool. It's exciting as always. So I love it. Love, live and breathe it. So
well, I'm excited because today's episode, it's something that you probably know like the back of your hand, the key traits of successful property investors.
Yes.
But I feel like it's one of those things that we could talk about, and it still doesn't necessarily hit home for people.
Yes.
But we're going to really unpack it today,
Yeah.
and what it means for people and how they can really, I guess, level up into becoming a successful property investor. I think you've
definitely
got 6.
Yeah, you kind of asked me, we're banding a few ideas around, and then, I thought these are the things I probably see the most common in the guys and girls that keep going and keep succeeding in property. Buying 1 or 2 or even sometimes 3 or 4, most people can kind of get to that sort of level if they're doing the right things initially, but getting beyond that and keep building it, especially in this market, it definitely takes more than just like that kind of easy first few sort of approach. These are the kind of things that I see that really make a big difference and are very key traits in those people that keep going forward and building themselves a big, strong portfolio.
Well, before we do get into it, how do you define successful then?
Oh, I think it depends on the individual and what their goals are. So different people have very different goals. So some people might only want to build, 50, 60 grand net passive. And if that's all they want to build and then they get themselves there, or they build the portfolio that'll get them there, like realistically, that's success, right? To that individual person. And there's no point trying to devise a plan for that guy or girl to hit 250 grand net passive if all they want is 50 or 60 grand. So I think realistically, like when you're well on your way to achieving what it is you want to achieve through property, I think that's when you become successful through the process. But obviously, like it's different for everyone, off their goals and then where they're at compared to where they are. So it's always different case by case, I think.
Different for everyone, but then there's obviously these similarities, these commonalities that combine together as well for you to go, they are successful.
100%. Yeah.
Well, let's go through then. Start us with number 1.
Number 1 is setting yourself a clear game plan or strategy. So I think I even look at myself, even like that example before I said like 3 or 4 properties. I literally like pinball machine my way up to 7 properties, just kind of hitting everything on the way through and doing okay. And then I got stuck because I didn't have a clear game plan that allowed me to keep moving forward. Getting stuck wasn't the worst thing because it allowed me to realize how to keep moving forward. It was a really good learning that I now get to pass on to our clients and students and whatnot as well. So that was really cool. But I think it's a really, really key part of it. When you know your game plan, you know your strategy, you know how to get yourself in the right position to be able to keep moving forward and not getting stuck. Because as an investor, the worst thing you can do is get stuck and have time out of the marketplace. So, having a really clear game plan and strategy around this allows you to, manipulate that, keep yourself moving forward as much as possible.
And I love bringing it back to what you said about it being different to every person. That is going to look different for every person as well. Having that strategy.
Definitely. And I think that's what's really important because people who want to build maybe like like that example for a $250,000 portfolio, maybe they might have intermediate goals and different strategies sort of built into the game plan where maybe they go for 80 to 100,000 net passive to begin with, or they build a portfolio that'll get them there. And then they might go through a different leveling where they reset the goals and reset the strategy to keep moving forward as well. Because like property is one of these things you can't set like a 30-year game plan, 20, 30-year game plan. So many things change in it. You have to be like way too conservative to do it. But you can definitely do like okay, this is the portfolio I need to get me to this point, and then level up and keep building from there as well. So I think they're the things that, you can definitely put a lot of time, stock, energy into to make sure you're creating the correct game plan to then be able to execute and keep building on it moving forward.
Moving forward.
Yes.
So we've got the first one. We've still got 5 to go.
Yeah,
I'm
let's do it.
conscious that there is a lot to get through. Number 2, what is it?
Surrounding yourself with the correct team. So having a great game plan is amazing, but obviously having the correct team is what allows you to get there as well. So, I know you want to keep this brief being the product that it is, but things like brokers, accountants, buyers agents, even the building and pest renovation teams, whatever it comes into your strategy that you need, all those guys are crucial in the portfolio building. You need to borrow money. You need to be able to structure correctly. You need the right conveyancing team. If you don't have the time, the know-how, the ability, you need the right buyer's agent who might also be able to strategize with you as well. So having the correct team is going to enable you to keep moving forward in your game plan and execute to a high level.
And then it comes back to that strategy piece, doesn't it?
Definitely does. It all ties back. They always tie back with each other.
Funnily enough, we're coming full circle.
That's it.
Yeah, cool. And number 3?
Number 3 is knowing your market intimately and thorough DD. And look, I think this comes down really to whether you're doing this yourself or whether you're using an expert. But one of the things that we believe is really important is educating our investors and our clients that we work with, and having that education piece allows you to understand this stuff a lot more quickly and make decisions a lot more quickly, which will better your portfolio. But things like valuing a deal like a pro. If you're out there having a crack and you just go and start looking on real estate estate.com, and then you're just trying to, call up and verbally bid on things, you're undoubtedly going to overpay in this market. So either having a professional on your side that's going to be able to execute at a very high level for you from that, or learning your market intimately so you can understand what market value is and then understand what makes sense to buy at as well is really, really important. That all comes back as well, though, to understanding your geographical risks, like your flood overlays, your noise overlays, all these sorts of things as well. All that sort of ties into knowing your market intimately and your DD intimately as well. And that ensures that you're buying the correct properties. You're not buying something that you think is great for a great price, where you might actually be buying a dud for what it's worth, or maybe you're overpaying for an average property. You're understanding that the property you're buying is a certain price for what it is, and that's good value in the marketplace as well. So really, really important. I've always, said this, been very open about this, even in this market where it is really hard to do deals. Buying property at the right price is super important to be able to keep leveraging, keep building the portfolio.
And this probably is the point where it is easier said than done.
Yes.
It's not something that you can just do without any preparation, without any research.
Yeah.
The other things, maybe you can. Maybe you can get lucky to a certain point.
Yeah.
But then there's no strategy, is there?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. Phil and I kind of had a laugh about this a few weeks ago when we were talking about this same sort of thing of it's definitely not as easy to buy now. Even from when I started my portfolio 15 years ago. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it was easier in those times to be able to buy. There were less hot locations, like you could buy up and coming areas with a lot less heat in the marketplace. Thankfully, I'm able to layer all those years of experience to be able to help my clients be able to do the right thing from that perspective. But it is extremely hard to buy out there right now. I don't envy those out there trying to do it themselves, that's for sure.
So we've got 3 so far. We've got the strategy, know your strategy,
building the team.
Building out a good team, and then due diligence.
Yeah.
Due diligence. Basically,
100%.
I cannot stress that one enough.
Yes.
But there's still 3 more to go.
Yeah, definitely. So next one up was obviously you could do everything that there is to do right, but you have to take action. Taking action is obviously one of the biggest things. The last couple of years, interest rates start to run. There's this happening with land tax. There's that happening with build prices and building sector and all the rest of it. A lot of people sort of tap out, right? Like majority of who we work with are more bullish sort of people that push hard, but obviously just trying to, give some great advice to everyone out there, and taking action, being able to move forward if you've got the ability to you're always going to outperform those that kind of sit there and do nothing. And ultimately, it's one of those things where, and you look at COVID's a prime example. Yeah. All the people that sat out of the market, they all kicked themselves they didn't buy earlier because almost everyone had the ability, even potentially those who lost their jobs as well. But it's like one of these things where taking action, you have to take action to get a result. So we can do everything else. We can plan as much as we can. We can do all the DD. We can build the best team in the world. You don't pull the trigger, you're never going to get a result.
I mean, it's kind of an obvious one at the same time. Successful.
It is an obvious one, but it's one of those things that sometimes it just needs to be hammered back in, especially for people sitting on the fence that have got the ability right now. If everything else stacks up, everything else ticks the boxes, pull the trigger, you'll thank yourself for doing it.
All right, what else is there then?
The next one moving forward, obviously now we're getting into the point where we're starting to build the portfolio. We're taking action. We've got our game plan. We've got our correct team. I think the biggest thing beyond this now is retaining a bulletproof mindset. I'm all about mindset when it comes to building a big portfolio. It's one of those things that you have to actually put time into making sure you're keeping your mindset strong with this stuff, because the bigger the portfolio they build, the more stuff that's going to come up that's going to, try and knock you off your course. And it's normal. We're dealing with bricks and mortar. We're dealing with people, both tenants, property managers, everything, right? There's so many different layers that you have to go through here, and retaining a strong mindset and a bulletproof mindset is crucial. Everyone gets rocked. Like, I'm very calm about things these days. It takes a lot to rock me these days. But in my first couple of years, especially my first 5 years, I was easily rocked. I was young, naive a little bit with some of this stuff. And so this is one of the things, like, property investing can be ridiculously profitable, and obviously it can be such a great wealth creation vehicle, but don't go in with the rosy colored glasses on. Like, understand that things are going to come up. You have to have a bulletproof mindset, keep pushing forward through these things. Because ultimately the way I always look at this is, like, let's say you make $100,000 a year, you buy a really good, strong growth property that's worth $500,000. It does 20% growth in 1 year. You literally just doubled your income that year through growth for owning a property that you just leveraged again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so much benefit to it from that, and that leverage perspective. And then you pull out and do it again, buy another one, and then get that same return. You might actually make $200,000 the next year, and you're only making $100,000 in your job. So keep your eyes on the prize, that longer term picture, and yes, maintain that bulletproof mindset.
Just to unpack that slightly more,
let's go.
How do we look at cultivating that kind of mindset? Like, it's not a big deal if we've had a bad tenant experience, or, it's not the end of the world if there's a massive repair that we suddenly are not sure how we've got the funds to
plan for it to happen.
Yeah.
So expect that it's going to happen. Because when you expect that it's going to happen, you're just like, oh yeah, okay, it finally happened. You know what I mean? And it might not happen for ages.
Yeah.
This is actually ridiculous. I can't believe I'm actually still saying this. I'm still touching wood here. I've never made an insurance claim. I've got over 50 properties. I've got over 70 rentals. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've never made an insurance claim. And that comes down to building the right team, right? Having the right property managers there. And I've been very lucky to mitigate that side of things. But yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I'm still expecting something bad to happen at some point. But I've had things with my buildings that I've had in my portfolio where, a structural defect might have come up, or, the thing got dilapidated and I had to redo the whole thing. And it's finding the solutions around it, and then again turning the lemons into lemonade and just creating a good solution. So it's all part of it. Something is going to happen. Just expect it. Again, don't go in naive, rosy colored glasses. No, bricks and mortar, people, things, something is going to happen. I guarantee it.
I love that you've even got that kind of silver lining approach to it. Like, you haven't said so much, but if something does happen, it's, that's what we have the insurance for.
Yeah.
That is why we've, put these things in place. I'm feeling like that's what your mindset is when anything does come up that could become an issue. Yeah,
I had a young fella on our podcast, Scouting Australia, a few months ago with his investor story, and he had this property that he had issues with the tenants, and they didn't pay for 2 months. He had a buffers, so he was okay. He could carry it through. They didn't pay for 2 months, and then they did a bit of damage to the property. They actually did some pretty severe damage to the kitchen. He carried himself through with his buffers, and then at the end of the buffers. Sorry, not the end of the buffers, but when they were able to take possession back of the property, insurance came in, he got a whole new kitchen, they repainted, refloored it, and he got paid his rent back. And so, like, he's actually in a better position now. Like, he had to have the buffers to get himself through there. And he had a really strong mindset through it of just being like, this is okay. We've planned for this. This is why I got the buffers. We had a couple of chats about it, and it was all good. Like, by the time he got to the end of it, he actually was in a better position at the back end. And sometimes that's the way it is. But sometimes you won't come out in the best. Maybe sometimes you come out at break even or whatever. But ultimately, that property in the same, like, every 12 months, he's had that property for the last 2 years. It would have gone up $250,000 in the last 2 years. So, like, he kept his eye on the bigger picture, didn't just panic and then at the end of it take it to market, because still got run left in the tank. So it's just keeping your eyes on the big picture and making sure you're staying focused and committed on that, and not letting the little, waves rock you out of the boat.
Successful investors.
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty clear to see how people can become successful investors, especially listening to all this. It's like, of course, this all makes sense, but
until you apply it in real life, and we've all dealt with it, or until you deal with it, it seems simple until you're actually in the driver's seat and copying it as well. But that, again, success comes from doing things differently and doing what most other people won't. So, and success in property doesn't come from owning 1 or 2 properties. You've got to build a portfolio. So,
do we have one left?
We have one left. Speaking of all this, it's staying the course. So there's 2 parts of this. The first one I'll probably tie in from the back, like the last point there as well. Staying the course of like that investor episode we did. He could have been like, nah, I'm going to sell. I'm over this. It was a bad experience. All the rest of it, ate up all my buffers and all the rest of it. But he held it. That was a year ago. The property's gone up another 100, 150, whatever it was in that time frame. So he kept his eyes on the bigger picture. And this is the thing: you got to stay the course. You got to keep moving through the motions of this thing. I've had times in my portfolio where 2 years of maintenance, 3 years of maintenance fell in 3 months, and you just get smashed with all this stuff, and you want to offload these things, but like you've got to carry it through for what it was in the portfolio for. So staying the course is really, really important from that side. And then the other thing is like, not deviating from your strategy. So like tying into like staying the course is the biggest mistake that I see people make is they see the next shiny object and they gravitate towards it, which is natural for everyone. But when you create that strategy and that game plan, I'm never opposed to being like fluid with your movements when you're building something out. But if something is laid in front of you and it makes complete sense and it will work when you do it, stay the course of that. Finish that first. And then if you want to look at something like that later, then that's okay. But if the opportunities are still there that will get you to your goals, focus on that, stay the course and get the results.
I love that ties as well back into point number 1 about knowing your strategy.
Yeah.
It's all well and good to have a strategy if you don't stick to it.
Yeah.
If you don't just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
And that's what pulls in, I think, all of those aspects that we've talked through in this episode. Yeah. You need to actually stick with what you say you're going to do. And that's obviously what successful investors such as yourself are doing.
100%. And this is what we see day in, day out. The guys that are focused on this and focused on the big picture and, they've built their team and they've got their game plan and they're just smashing it out. They keep on winning. It's inspiring to see, other people follow in the same footsteps and be really building something significant. So, these were kind of the key ones when you asked me, what to maybe bring to the table. These are the key things that I definitely see in all successful investors.
Success feels contagious in your world. I don't know if you would agree or not, Sam, but I do feel like, the things you're doing, the people that you are talking to, the people that you are helping, you are seeing the same kind of results that you've achieved yourself.
Yeah.
And it's come through from structure and discipline and sticking to these 6 points.
Yeah, definitely.
Does that feel like it resonates with what you're doing? Because there's some amazing things coming out of you and your business at the moment. Yeah,
100%. Like I think it's something I actually laugh about because like so often, like I look at some of the young clients coming through and they're in significantly better positions now than I was at their age. And I'm like, this guy's going to overtake me. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's really cool to see, but because it's like, it's proof in the pudding that it works and that it's worth doing. And so when you see these, and it can be people at any age, they could be 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever. But in the lifetime of their portfolio, like if they're say 2-3 years in, so many of them are like 3-4 properties in front of where I was at the same time frame, in heaps better net equity positions, better cash flows. So it's one of those things where it's awesome to see it. And I actually get the team laughs about it because like I'll settle a property and I don't even care, you know what I mean? Like it's just something that I do almost on autopilot. But then I'll hear someone get a great reval or know that someone got a really good deal in their portfolio or whatever, and I still have the goosebump moments from that of seeing those guys win, as opposed to the stuff that for me kind of goes in on autopilot and a few of the things. So it's cool. I love it. It definitely keeps me passionate and very engaged in what I still do. So.
And this in itself has been an educational opportunity for anyone listening. If you have not written down these 6 key traits of successful property investors, what are you doing? Go back and listen to this whole thing again and take notes because the proof is in the pudding. You've enacted all of these things yourself, but you've also got, your own education and training that goes into all of this in so much more detail than what we can go through in a podcast this short.
Yeah, definitely. So late last year, we brought out our education course being School of Property. It was one of those things I could see that the gap between the buyer's agency service and obviously even the guys that were in the buyer's agency service, but even those trying to do it themselves. It's a real understanding on how to build a portfolio, and especially all the strategies that we help our clients with to really build big portfolios and get themselves to retired positions. And so I decided to all the kind of juicy stuff that I don't talk about openly. I decided to put that essentially into a course and offer that out there to people as well. And really, it's just. It's understanding how to build a portfolio properly and build it in a big way, and pretty much be able to achieve your goals, devise your own strategy, whether you're wanting to work with us or not, and pretty much everything that you would want to know or want to pick my brain on, to get all the sort of like the secrets of how I built mine the size that I did. It's all within it. So it's been an amazing thing. And one of the things that I wanted to offer today, which we haven't actually ever done, we only literally just brought this in. I've got a strategist now that helps with the course. And so he's effectively available from now. We've opened his calendar to be able to have a chat to people about the course, to go into it in depth. And pretty much see if it's a good fit for a lot of people. The cool thing is, it's like for anyone at any stage, right? Like I honestly believe unless someone has retired themselves in property, this will change your mindset or something and get you closer to that goal. So whether you're right at the start and you're starting out and you literally have nothing or maybe one property or something, you will learn a huge amount, right? Obviously a huge amount. And the cool thing is you're going to have this for the life of your journey, so you can keep leveling up your knowledge base as you go, as you keep buying properties and building it through the course. But then people who are stuck, or maybe people who are like 3, 4, 5 properties in, or maybe even 10 properties in. I've had clients 10 properties in going, holy hell, like this changed my whole outlook on everything. It'll change the way that you invest. And that's the whole idea of it, is really to change the psyche. There's so many people, they've had light bulb moments within their own portfolios, going through this thing and really understanding, the clear distinctions of what they have been doing and what they should be doing in their portfolios to actually get a result. And the simple fact is, you don't know what you don't know. And you might think you know a lot, and you might know a lot in property, being 3, 4, 6, 10 properties in, you might know a lot. But what don't you know? And you don't know what you don't know. And when you're able to see the inside of a little bit of a self-plug here, but I won Investor of the Year in 2020, late 2019. It was awarded in January 2020. That was 4.5 years ago, right? I've only gotten significantly better as an investor since then, but I won that all that time ago. On Buyer's Agent of the Year, it started this year. When you can literally see inside my head at all the things that I don't openly talk about, there's a lot in there that I'm guessing most people don't know. So this effectively is giving everyone the access to be able to dive deep into that and change their way of thinking with investing and really hopefully get a lot of people to retirement.
What a cool way to get ahead and to I guess really take on that number one piece of advice you had about the key traits and have a strategy, but also beyond that to take action.
Yeah, definitely.
Was that number 4?
That was 4. Yeah, that was 4.
Yes.
Well done. You have better memory than me.
So Sam, how can people access this? What's the best way to go about it?
Yeah, so most people would know, obviously, I'm from Australian Property Scout. So on all the socials and at www.australianpropertyscout.com.au. If people are interested in the course and they want to go chat to the strategist and have a discussion around that and see what that's all about, you can head over to www.schoolofproperty.com.au. And pretty much happy to help whoever we can with that, and both from the buyer's agency and the education piece, marry them together and get a great result.
We'll also make it easy by putting those links in the blurb for this podcast as well, if you've missed them, or just rewind, because they probably need to take notes anyway. Sam,
still throw them in the show notes.
Sam, thank you so much for your time. It's always great to chat. Already looking forward to the next one.
Thanks, Grace. Really appreciate it as always.
To everyone who is listening along, we hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions about Property Showcase, don't hesitate to reach out. editor@smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. Until next time, stay safe and well wherever you are listening from. Bye-bye.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property, or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.